Hey there. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been told you're too quiet? Well, today we're diving deep into the psychology of the quiet observer. We're going to reframe what it means to be the silent one in a loud room. And trust me, it's way more powerful than you think. So let's get right into it. Okay, so picture this, and I know you've been here. You're in a meeting, maybe it's a dinner party, right? The volume in the room just keeps getting louder, people are talking over each other, everyone is trying to get a word in. And then there's you. You're just sitting back. But you're not zoning out, not at all. You're taking everything in. You're watching this whole social dance unfold right in front of you. But you haven't said a single word. That feeling, that's exactly what we're digging into today. So what is actually happening in that crowded room when you're quiet? See, this isn't about being withdrawn or, antisocial. Nope. It's about something way more active, something going on entirely inside your head. Well, what's happening is your brain is running this kind of internal checklist. While everyone else is busy talking, you're scanning the room. You're noticing the person who's kind of performing for the boss. You're catching that super subtle eye roll from the person who is clearly annoyed. You're mapping out all the little alliances, the tensions, basically the entire unspoken social map of the group. You're not just being quiet, you're collecting data. But here's the catch, right? While you're busy processing all this incredibly rich information, the outside world, well, they're drawing their own very different conclusions about you. Let's talk about that silent judgment, because it happens a lot. And this is it, right here, the big misconception. Because you're not speaking up, people they fill in the blanks themselves. They might label you as shy or disengaged, maybe even that you have nothing valuable to add. They assume your silence is empty, but the reality is it's packed full of thought. And yeah, it's a super frustrating experience, and it's so common. Okay, this brings us to the most important question of all. What if that whole assumption is just completely wrong? What if your silence isn't a weakness at all? What if it's actually a sign that your brain is working in a totally different and maybe even more powerful way? All right, so let's shift gears a little bit. We're going to move away from social perception and get into some of the hard science. We're going to look at the neuroscience that actually explains why your brain prefers to watch and listen and process everything before you speak. The key idea we need to understand is something called cortical arousal. Now, just think of it like your brain's natural volume knob. For a lot of quiet observers, that volume is already turned way up. Your brain doesn't need a ton of external noise and chatter to feel stimulated because it's already running at a high level, just processing everything that's going on around you. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The world might seem passive, but the neurological reality is you're actively gathering data. They might call you shy, but what's really happening is your brain is operating with high cortical arousal. They might think you're disengaged, when actually, you're intensely busy putting together all the complex information you've been taking in. So, you see, once we get the science behind it, we can stop looking at this as some kind of flaw. We can start seeing it for what it really is, a quiet superpower. So let's talk about how you can turn this into a real strategic advantage. This really gets to the core of it all. Your silence is an empty space. It's strategic. Think about it. It's like choosing to map out the entire maze before you take your first step. It's about getting the lay of the land, so when you finally do make your move, man, it really counts. You can really break it down into a simple 3-step process. First, you gather. You take in all that social data we mentioned before, the unspoken stuff, the hidden feelings. Second, you synthesize. You start connecting the dots that literally everyone else is too busy talking to even notice. And then, and only then, do you do step 3, you speak. And that is the payoff. You're not just adding more noise to the room. When you finally speak, your words have weight. They're informed, they're well thought out, and they usually cut right to the heart of the issue, all because they're built on this solid foundation of careful observation. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you find yourself in that crowded room, try not to see your quiet nature as a disadvantage. See it for what it is, your edge. Because let's be honest, in a world that absolutely cannot stop talking, the person who actually listens, well, that's the person with the real power. So what can you hear in the silence?